Hello everybody, welcome to HGB Cars. For this, the first video of race analysis or race review, if you like, of the 2015 Formula 1 World Championship season. So today is the Sunday, the 15th of March, which means that the Formula 1 World Championship began this morning in Melbourne, Australia, the Albert Park circuit. So this video is just a bit of analysis on the race, going over all the main points, and then going over the Drivers and Constructors Championships. So, pretty scarce race with only 11 cars finishing the race, although only 15 cars actually started the race, as before the races had even begun, both Marussia cars of Will Stevens and Roberto Merhi announced that they would not run in the race, as they had completed no running at all in all of the 3 free practice sessions and qualifying. So there was no point at all in running, as they would not finish the race, probably would not even last one lap before they encountered more issues. Other people who did not start were Valtteri Bottas, who actually did qualify 6th on the grid, but then was ruled out of the race after a doctor advised him not to race, as he injured his back during the qualifying, so he could not race. Then Daniil Kvyat could also not race because the Red Bull gearbox went before the race had started, so he could not take part. And then finally Kevin Magnussen in the McLaren could not start either because of a power unit fault that he encountered on the outlap to the grid before the race started. So only 15 cars actually started the race. And then from qualifying, Hamilton and Rosberg both led the field away with no issues, followed by Massa and the 2 Ferraris then, who were next on the grid. A bit of action at the first corner, as a Toro Rosso, I think it was Sainz, hit Raikkonen from the rear. That unsettled Raikkonen, then that caused the Sauber of Nasr to become unsettled then, and he actually tagged the Lotus of Maldonado, sending Maldonado into the wall and bringing out a safety car. So Maldonado not finished any of the races this season so far, surprise surprise, but this was not his fault. You can't blame Maldonado at all. He was hit from behind and had no chance of saving it, so bit of credit to him. Then the other 57 laps afterwards, the incident on the first lap brought out a safety car, so the new Mercedes AMG GT was seen, which replaced the Mercedes SLS AMG from last season, was seen out on track. It only lasted about 3 or 4 laps, then it came in, and the rest of the laps were not the best racing I've ever seen, but then Albert Park never really gives exciting racing, as of course it is a slow street circuit. So so we'll run down through the order then. Obviously Lewis Hamilton won in the Mercedes, and well, it was expected anyway. Like, we all knew Hamilton would win if he had no issues really, because he showed he was faster than Rosberg in qualifying, quite a bit faster in fact. But Rosberg finished second and was able to keep up with Hamilton, finishing only 1.3 seconds off the pace. But obviously Mercedes were not really pushing as hard as they could in that session, as I honestly feel if they had have been going as fast as they can, that they would have been a lot further away than from the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel and the Williams of Felipe Massa. So I really don't think Mercedes were really attempting to go quick, although even still they were by far the quickest on track. So not good signs for this season being competitive, as it will probably be the exact same as last year, just with Mercedes further ahead from the rest of the pack. Then the final podium spot went to Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari, but he finished 35 seconds away from Hamilton, who won the race. And the Ferrari here really showed how fast it is, and like the pace they have in race as well as in qualifying that we saw yesterday, beating Felipe Massa mostly on pace. Massa was third for the first stint of the race, but then and Vettel was not able to get past. But then the Williams strategist, who I cannot understand, brought Massa in first, and he came out then behind the Red Bull of Ricciardo, which gave no advantage, which wiped out the advantage of pitting first. So Massa was not able to exploit the performance of the new tyres, which meant that when Vettel pitted, he came out ahead of Massa, and then it stayed like that for the rest of the race. So again, Williams, like last year, really need to work on their strategy, and it's that kind of thing that costs points. That was 3 points there that Williams lost out, that they could have easily maintained if Massa had stayed out longer and come out ahead of Ricciardo a few laps later. But then Massa, fourth position, not bad, and Massa showing that he still has pace in him, which I love to see. Massa's my driver, to be honest. But then 38 seconds off Mercedes just shows how fast the Mercedes is. Then in fifth place was a surprise, I guess, in Felipe Nasr in the Sauber. He was a lot off Hamilton, actually 1 minute and 35 seconds, and he just crossed the line right before Hamilton finished the race, so he was just lapped, but managed to complete all 58 laps of the Australian Grand Prix. Nasr, he had a fantastic race and showed that the Sauber also has great pace and is pretty much tied with Red Bull for the third best car. And I'd say it's even quicker than the Red Bull, as Ricciardo was behind Nasr and was not able to pass him, and then Nasr started to pull away in the second stint. So it's very impressive, and Nasr showed what a great driver he is as well by passing some people and all that. So, and then Ricciardo was down in sixth and the Red Bull was lapped, as everyone else was behind him, obviously. Red Bull really has issues in the power unit side of things with Renault. They've said, all the Red Bull team have said how behind they feel Renault are compared to Mercedes and Ferrari now, as Ferrari haven't made great gains over the winter. So Ricciardo 6th at his home race, not as good as his second or third was last year, although he was disqualified, so technically he's his best race at his home Grand Prix. Nico Hulkenberg was 7th in the Force India. Pretty quiet race for him, didn't see much of him on the television. Force India has work to do as well. They're behind Red Bull and Sauber, and they were late in testing and everything. They really need to concentrate on making that car good. But Force India have always been a team to start really good and then just fall off as they go through the year. This year they are kind of saying that if they start bad, it will get better, and they hope to kind of reverse what usually happens with them. So hopefully we'll see them improve towards the end of the season. Marcus Ericsson then in Sauber was 8th. He did not have as great a race as his teammate did, but did show he did overtake some people and showed that he is a good racer. So he was caught up at the start in traffic and started behind Nasr and everything. So pretty good race for Ericsson as well though, and also showing Sauber has pace. Carlos Sainz Jr. in the Toro Rosso, which this was his debut race. He's a rookie, as well as Nasr and Verstappen are also rookies. So Carlos Sainz Jr. finishing in the points, very, very strong result. Toro Rosso does have speed. We've seen it has. I'd say it would have more qualifying speed though than it does race speed. The race pace kind of lets it down. It's a team that kind of has a good spot on the grid. It would make a good start up to maybe 5th or 6th, which is what Sainz did, but then started to fall back down the order as the Toro Rosso just could not handle it up at the top end with the big boys. Then the other Force India of Sergio Perez in 10th, he had a very, very messy race. He was behind Jenson Button for the first stint, and I'm surprised he wasn't able to pass Button in the McLaren, but he wasn't. He spun, he got low, he went off track a good few times trying to get past Button. Then finally he did, and he was so far behind everyone else then he was just 10th then, but still in the points because only 11 cars finished, so not too bad. And then we go down to Jenson Button, who did finish the race, so McLaren do have some credit, I suppose, owed to them, as they did finish the race. It was the most amount of laps they did at once, like all season. They haven't done a race in pre-season testing, so this was kind of unknown territory for them, but they did finish, albeit 2 laps down and a lap off Sergio Perez ahead of him. It was, like Button said after the race, it was quite painful, and even though he was so slow, he had to save fuel and look after tyres, showing how bad that McLaren Honda is, and I really can't see that being any better by the end of the season. I really think it'll be 2017 before they're contention for podiums. So a hell of a lot of work to do with McLaren. Then we go down to those who have not or did not finish this race. So the first of them being Kimi Raikkonen. He kind of made it the furthest into the race. He was actually on a 2-stop, which did not work out for him. It was like an awful strategy call, really. He came in way too early, trying to get an undercut on someone. He was behind the Sauber, and he was behind Ricciardo and Hulkenberg in that group, and he tried to come in early and do a 2-stop to get ahead of them, which to be honest it did work, because he was so quicker. He was so much quicker on the 2 sets of softs, and then would have been on the 1 medium if on the second stop, if the man on the rear left wheel had to put the wheel on right. So he stopped out on track, I think it was turn 4, where the wheel, he was just told by the team to stop as the wheel wasn't secured onto the car. So really rookie error from the mechanics at Ferrari, but the mechanic did not signal, I suppose, to allow the car to go. He knew he wasn't done, and when the car went, he was furious that the car was allowed to go, because of course there's a kind of a chief mechanic who oversees everything that's going on, and when he's happy that everything has been done and Kimi's all set to get going again, he presses a button that makes the green light come on the I suppose traffic light system that they have in the pits, which I hate. I just cannot understand why Ferrari still use that system. If they had a lollipop man, it would be so much easier. And I tell you, the first ever time that Ferrari used that traffic light system thing was the Singapore Grand Prix of 2008. And I know that because Massa's pit stop was ruined because the green light came on. He was told to go, even though the fuel hose was still attached to the car. Now with that race, he was on for a win. Because of that incident, he finished last. That is what caused Massa to lose the 2008 Formula 1 World Championship. And I just can't understand, because if you look back from all those races from 2008 when they introduced that until now, how many incidents were there where races were ruined because of that stupid system? It really drives me mad to think that it's still being used, even though there's so many flaws with it. So anyway, that's Raikkonen done, and then Max Verstappen was the next who didn't finish. He had a power unit fault. Max Verstappen, though, on his debut as well, showed some really great pace, and that the Toro Rosso is fairly fast, so impressed by Max Verstappen. Then Grosjean was second last, effectively, because he had a power unit fault which caused him to come in to the pits at the end of lap 1, so his race really lasted only one lap. And then finally Maldonado, who I told you had the crash at the start with after Nasr hit him. So that's a bit of analysis and a bit of rants from me over the Australian Grand Prix of 2015. Thank you very much for listening here. I hope to see you in the next video, which will not be too long away. So thank you for listening here, and goodbye.